Hi, my name is Patty Baker. Welcome to this community page called Live on Purpose. I started this community because I believe we spend way too much time looking for our purpose and striving to find out what our purpose in life is, when really all we need to do is live on purpose, fully present in the moment with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, focused right where we are. And as we are demonstrating our love to God, our love to others, and demonstrating self-love, that our purpose will unfold right before us, and we don't have to go striving to find it. So if you're joining me recorded, I'm glad that you're here, and I am going to drop to you now in the comments where you can go and fast forward if you want to the topic for tonight, so that you don't have to hear me saying hello and dialoguing with all of the rest of the community who likes to join me live on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. If you have a topic, question, or suggestion for our Thursday night's broadcast, go ahead and drop them in the Facebook Messenger. And you can do that just at the top of the community page. It says send message. I love being able to see you all when you're joining me recorded. So just give me a shout out in the comments to let me know that you stopped by, because I like seeing that you were here as well. And while I'm talking to you recorded, it allows those who want to join me live to come on into the room. And so I hope as you guys are finding the notification and heading in, that you are enjoying your day. It is beautiful here in the South. It was in the upper 80s today, and we are expecting just a wonderful rest of the week on into the weekend. And so it looks like across the country, there's been some great weather as well. So if you've never joined me live before, let me just tell you, I see you, but I will not acknowledge you unless you comment, because I just appreciate your anonymity and wanting to hang out in the back of the room. But if you do want to comment, that's great. There is a 10-second delay. And so I just want to make sure that you have that opportunity to share and for me to see it, so that I can respond back, especially toward the end of the live tonight. So without further ado, a hot topic tonight, folks, that is coming in from the Facebook inbox from men and women. So I'm eager to get started. But let me just give a quick shout out to you guys. Elizabeth Jane, beautiful woman, I just saw your post that you had shared just a moment ago, and it looked fantastic. I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but it looked great. Hey, Pat, wonderful to see you tonight. Virtual hug back to you, sir. I'm glad you are here. Ed, you're in the house. You know, Ed, I have got to ask you, and you can comment here or send me a messenger, but all of these drawings that I see, do you do those drawings and then take photos of them? Because they're amazing. And so I wanted to give a shout out to you for those that I see on your Facebook page. Yes, you guys are having great weather where you are. So thanks for joining in on the broadcast tonight. And I see all of you who are joining in right now. And I love you. And if it's your first time joining, know that I will not acknowledge you unless you make a comment, because I just appreciate you hanging out. Also, you can share this to your page now, and it allows others to come in and join at their leisure. And if you find that this topic would be beneficial for someone else, don't share it to their page and say, hey, you need to look at this. Hey, hubby, get some tips. Hey, wifey, this is what's going on. Because it is a sensitive topic. But if you want to share it in general, that's great. I would request of you that if you do want somebody that you know is struggling in this area to see this video tonight, when you go to share, hit copy link. You can send that link in a text message, an email, a Facebook Messenger, and then they can click on it and watch it at their leisure. So, Sonny Brown, how did you find me tonight? I am so glad you are here, sir. It is wonderful to see you. Always a pleasure to have you, and so I'm glad that you are joining in. Let me give you this question for the night. Now, this is my topic, which is why wives say no to sex and what husbands can do about it. But that came out of a series of questions that have been coming in to my to the Facebook inbox here. Wives have said, all my husband wants is sex. I'm tired. He doesn't understand how much I have to do. I just don't feel like it. Men, the other side, are saying this. Hi, Nathan. Great to see you. I'm glad you're here. Hi, John. Wonderful to see you tonight, too. Yeah, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. It was an interesting topic for me, actually, to build this out this week, so it's good. Here's what some of the men said. My wife doesn't want to have sex anymore. And there was a lot of other ones that were just similar to that, but that was kind of the main one. And then the other one that came through is it biblical to withhold sex from your spouse? So, hi Joe, wonderful to see you tonight. I'm glad you're here. I hope everything's going great in your part of the country. Wives, let me just say this. This is a broadcast tonight for men and women. Although the title of it sounds like it's for men, it's geared for both men and women. And so I want you to hang in here and I want you to hear what I have to say on the topic from my personal female perspective. I think that sheds some light for us as women. Also, sex is on your husband's mind, or else I wouldn't be receiving the suggestions and topics and questions in my inbox. So, wife, your husband loves you. He's sexually attracted to you. And for some reason, you've cut him off. And so he's wondering what the heck is going on. You ain't giving it to him. And you've tried to tell him why. He's not getting it. And he's not gonna get it. The good news is, men want to know. Whether they're talking to you directly about it or not, they're trying to find out. And I think that's encouraging. So hopefully this will be encouraging for all of us tonight as we kind of dive into this. I'm not going to be able to address every marital issue that's led to the discontinuation of sex in your marriage. I'm not going to be able to address every topic. Every issue, every scenario. However, my goal tonight is that by the end of this broadcast, you'll be able to come back and say, you know what, I got a couple of things that I can do in my relationship to get us going in the right direction, or at least attempt to do that. And in extreme cases, I believe that marital counseling, seeing a sex therapist or having sex therapy is good for couples to do. I say do anything and everything that you can in order to save your marriage. Hi, Brian. Wonderful to see you. That's wonderful, Pat. I'm so glad that you had just such a fulfilling marriage and wonderful marriage. When I met you over the I don't know. I think you and I met in December when I was doing the Facebook Live tour, Meet Me at the Table, and you had just honored your wife and said how wonderful she was and what a great marriage you guys had. So thank you so much for just being a testimony that through all of that you can, through the ups and downs of life and kids and cancer, as you just mentioned, and all of the other things that happen with job loss and life changes, that you can still have a positive, healthy sex life in your marriage. Hi, Robbie. Wonderful to see you tonight. I hope your mom's doing well. Just want to give her a quick shout out too. So, husbands, it starts out great, doesn't it? Even at first year, it's almost like sex on demand, isn't it? It's hot. It's kicking in. And then it starts to taper off. And then it kind of becomes non-existent. And then you're like, has the well dried up or what? What's going on? So I want to give you 3 things tonight that you can do to help kind of dial in to this, to find out why is your wife not wanting to have sex and what you can do to kind of get that rocking and rolling again. The first thing is attitude. Your attitude has to be in the right place in order for the next 2 things to work. And what I mean by that is I'm going to give you some things that you can do to implement into your marriage right now. And this is not a manipulation tactic. This is for the long-term, long haul for your marriage. And so it needs these next 2 things I'm going to give you. You've got to come at this with an attitude of appreciation for her, authenticity, a true desire to care about the marriage. So you're coming at it from a caring perspective, unconditional love for her, and respect. And so it is with that attitude that you want to begin to implement these next two things. Otherwise, all you're doing is looking for the short-term goal to get in the sack with your wife. And that's not what this is. It's not going to work. The approach is the second thing. So we're talking about attitude, approach, and how to build her sexual attraction toward you. So first one is attitude. Second one is the approach. How are you approaching your wife? There are men in their 20s, 30s, even into their 40s. There's a new relationship approach that's out there. It's called RSD, or Real Social Dynamics. I've seen that working. I've seen it operating. I've been exposed to it myself. And it doesn't work. Okay, if you understand that approach to meeting women, gentlemen, Real Social Dynamics, it's great for the weekend girl, but it's not going to get you to keep the wife. So if that's something that you're looking for, it's not going to happen in your marriage. That you may have been using your dating tactics to get her engaged in marriage, but your dating tactics aren't going to work in order to keep the marriage going. So you've got to have another approach that you're going to be able to have the discipline to do the work, to cultivate the relationship, to create the sexual attraction for your wife to have toward you. Hi, Charles. Wonderful to see you tonight. I am glad that you're here. Hi, Steve. Also, wonderful evening and glad that you're here. So be careful about how you're approaching your wife. Approach is huge. If she has a child on her hip with a dirty diaper and she's trying to wrap up dinner in front of the stove, and you come up and start grinding on her and tell her how sexy she looks, and you go, "Hey baby, I'm feeling it tonight," and she is thinking in her head, "Are you kidding me? I've got a kid with a smelly diaper. I'm trying to finish dinner and you're grinding up on me." And she's going to say, "Oh, baby, here you go. Go change this." And you say, "Well, guess I'm not getting any again tonight." Attitude, always first. Second, watch your approach. So this forcing, okay, is what's happening. And I don't mean physical force in a bad way. It's subtle, it's sophisticated, but it's direct. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's the timing's off, the attitude's not there, the approach is too direct. As a matter of fact, it comes across almost as controlling. I want you, I'm going to get you. And women don't respond to that in a healthy way. They just don't. They just don't. I like the emojis, Charles. So, the approach needs changed up a bit. And I want to talk about giving you some tools in order to be able to do that. So attitude, the approach, and number 3, build her sexual attraction toward you. What does that look like? You want to have sex with her. You're sexually attracted to her. It's your wife. You've got eyes you can see, and man, she's hot. You would have never been with her in the first place. She's amazing. And you love being able to connect with her in that way. So why doesn't she feel the same thing? The good news is that you're sexually attracted to your wife. The frustrating part is that she's not in return. And so you're going to need to cultivate that. And so now you're wanting to develop that sexual attraction for her to have toward you. How does that work? So we're going to talk about that too. Because she's either cooled off or she's cold, right? That's why we're here tonight. Because you're like, I don't know what is going on with her, but she ain't putting out. She's my wife. So she's either cooling off, tapered off, or it just ain't happening in your house. Men are like Miami. Women are like Alaska. Miami is hot. Hot, hot, hot. If Tom Stewart watches tonight, he likes when I snap my fingers. I don't know why I do that, but I do. Hot. Miami is hot. And men are hot. Sex now. Doop, ready to go. Women, it's a little cold in Alaska. We kind of need to warm up a little bit. So, there's 4,952 miles between Anchorage, Alaska and Miami, Florida. How are we going to connect? I can tell you, if she's that cold, that she's that far north, asking her to drive down and meet you ain't gonna happen. She doesn't have the vehicle to do it. And sending her money for a plane ticket so that she can fly down, honey, she will spend that money on something else. She's gonna go shopping with it. How do you get her out of the cold tundra down to Miami heat? That's what I want to talk to you about tonight. For those of you who know, I'm fully devoted in following Jesus, and I believe in a scriptural basis for coming at the topics that are brought through the Facebook Messenger inbox like this one. And so I want to give you some scripture before I dive into the how-tos on the approach and creating that sexual attraction toward you out of her with the right mindset and attitude. And this comes from 1 Corinthians 7, 1 through 5. And if you've never watched me before, I want you to know that what I do is I take these scripture verses and I give you the link in the comments once this becomes recorded, and you can go back and just click on the link and read the entire scripture for yourself so that you can see the context in it. Rick, man, so wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for connecting with me through the Facebook Messenger. I am crazy busy today as I worked a full schedule and met with my trainer tonight before grabbing a quick shower to sit down with you all. But I'm going to tell you what, I was so glad to connect with you today, and I'm praying for the mission trip that you have to Africa, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing your Facebook page with the video coming out, just casting vision for what you're doing. So let's go over to 1 Corinthians 7. There's 5 verses there. I'm going to just read a couple, but I'll put the link in for all 5 of them. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to his husband, to her husband. Well, what the heck is your marital duty? Do you think her marital duty is just to put out? What's your marital duty? So, gentlemen, what does that look like exactly? Let me read on. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. Now, that's an example. There are other things as they are fulfilling marital duty. That just happens to be one of them. In the same way, I go on to read, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife. Now you may say, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. Hey, I'm ready to roll. She's the one with the problem, right? Hi, Miss Debbie. Always wonderful to see you, darling. I continue to read. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. The beginning of that scripture says, but since sexual immorality is occurring, each man should have sexual relations with his own wife, and each woman with her own husband. Because if not, the fallout exists. I remember while I was married, and for those of you who don't know, I was married for about 15 years. The very short story of that is He was diagnosed with stage 4 thyroid cancer that had metastasized into his lymph nodes, his lungs, and eventually into his bone. And at that point, he was given a limited lifespan. And during that time, 15 years, we had probably 3 that I recall seasons of sexual dry spells. And I remember when the first one occurred. I can't remember how long into our relationship it was, but I remember him saying to me one night when I turned him away, he said, "Patty, if I'm not going to get it from you, who am I going to get it from?" Now, I had later in our marriage turned that exact same statement around to him. But during that moment, it was very pointed to me that sexual immorality can come so quickly into our relationships because we are not under the word, the covenant of marriage through 1 Corinthians 7. Now, I want to back out of that to say, for some women, this can be difficult as well. Because for some women, this is what I've heard. I'm reading it in my Facebook inbox. I want to try, and I don't want him going anywhere else. I don't want him going out and having an affair. I'm not willing to connect with him. But if I just am face down and I don't have to look at him and I can just get through with it, it's done. Another woman said, we're not really having sex. He's just masturbating inside of me, and that's all that's really happening. I'm not feeling anything. And so you have that side of it too. So very sensitive and delicate topic that you don't hear a lot, talked about a lot. But man, it's real in our marriages. It's real. And so why not talk about it? So no question is out of the question. Put it in the inbox. We'll put it on the list here. My tech team does a great job keeping those, and then I put them all together and build up topics. Go over there if you have something and dial it in for me, and we'll build out a topic. I talked about that she's from Anchorage and you're from Miami, man. So what does that look like? She's cold and you're hot. How do you get her down to Miami? What are you doing? The mode of transportation is communication. That's it. That's what's going to get her there. Women love to talk, don't they? Chatty, chatty, chatty. We love to talk. We can talk about anything all the time. We love it. Love it. We talk about anything. Girls get on the phone, they talk for a couple hours. Not all women are as chatty as others, based upon personality. But women in general, and I'm using generals tonight because there are so many things on the peripheral, but in general, women are more talkative than men are. Men would much rather be doing something, going for a walk or something else, being active with something, and they can chit-chat that way. But women, they're all about it. It's how we're wired in general. So you've got to talk to her. And you may be like, hey, every time I roll up on her, it's like a porcupine. Well, then don't run up on her. Timing is appropriate. Attitude is appropriate. If you missed the first part of this, come back. Check it out. Attitude's in the right place. Your approach is all about your timing at this point. When she's scrolling through her phone, watching television, reading a book, she has a minute to breathe, is when you want to slip in and have a little conversation. And that conversation is, we ain't having sex, what's the problem? What you want to ask is something like this, and you know your wife better than I do, but give it to her this way. What do you remember? What made you fall in love with me? And she's going to say, I don't know what. Or she's going to say, no. Or she's going to say, I can't even remember. Or she's going to look at you and go, let me count the ways, right? The closer she is to Miami, the more warmed up she's going to be. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of verbal vomiting going on. Like, What do you mean? And then spouting. It's because she hasn't spoken in a while about this topic. What made you decide to marry me? This is not a time for you to get defensive, selfish, self-centered, start defending your position. What do you mean? I do that. I do this. No, this is where you ask the open-ended question and listen. And I'm going to show you how to listen and then how to swap that over. Because what the goal is that we want your wife to be having the sexual attraction toward you as you have toward her. So don't be unloving during this time. Don't be inconsiderate. This is a real, authentic question. And she may be like, what in the heck are you talking about? Like, who are you and what did you do with my husband? Hey, Gary. Good evening, sir. You must be an alien coming into my home because my husband would never ask me that. And that's where you really need to get authentic and say, no, I'm serious. I was just thinking about us and our relationship today, and I was like, man, what was it that made you decide to marry me? What was it that turned you on about me? And she's going to say, oh, well, you know, it was da, 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 da. And she's going to answer eventually after she vomits, after all the sarcasm's out, after all the little stabbing and needlings going on. And she sees at some point that you are authentic. Don't say, oh, well, then forget it. Then you've just broken everything that there is there. But be authentic about it. Be authentic. The question is the GPS to find out where she's located between Anchorage, Alaska, and Miami, Florida. Because how she responds to that lets you know where she's at. Because you're going to have to meet her there and walk her to Miami. She fell in love with you because you made her feel, and she's going to spout off any number of things, valued, sexy, pretty, intelligent, appreciated, safe, secure. Pick one. She might not be even able to verbalize that or articulate it in that way, but something else she may be able to say is examples. So she may say for you, well, you know, I fell in love with you because, and then she'll give you an example. Let me show you what this looks like. It's very subconscious for her at this point because she's disconnected from you sexually. So it's not something that you both have talked about. She may say, you know what? I really like that you are a hard worker. I really like that you are a hard worker. So she likes that about you. She likes that she feels safe and secure, that you're her provider, that you're her protector. She likes that. So what are some things that you can do in order to put those things together to make her feel that way again? Because she's obviously not feeling that now because she's not connecting with you at that level. So what can you do to help with that? Well, we used to talk all the time. What you're hearing now is past tense. Pay attention. If she talks about what's going on currently, well, I like that I do this, that's good. That means things are happening now, but there is a little disconnect somewhere and you can sort that out. But if she's talking in past tense, whew, honey, you better step up the game. Because what she fell in love with, she's not currently seeing now, and that's making her emotionally disconnect from you. We used to talk all the time and hang out, and now with the kids and our jobs and games and getting back and forth everywhere and our parents, and I mean, we don't have time for each other. We don't even connect anymore. And what she's looking for from you is some quality time and spending time together. And so your response to that is, you know what? You're right. I'm going to go ahead and call my sister and see if we can schedule something next week or maybe next weekend for a couple of hours for her to watch the kids, and you and I go grab a cup of coffee and go for a walk. What? Yeah, I think you're right. I love that. Really? Yeah. Let's go grab a cup of coffee and go for a walk. I think it'll be great, and you and I can spend some time together. All of a sudden, you look so sexy, Mr. Husband. Your wife just fell in love with you all over again in that moment. Now, don't go thinking you're going to get sex that night. I don't know how far away she is from Miami. However, take a look at it. You can size it up a little bit, but don't go in for the kill. Hey, it's not the short-term goal here. This is a lifetime discipline in cultivating this sexual attraction for your wife to have towards you. You connect with her so physically and so easily. She's hot. Why not? But for her, it's more than physical. It's emotional. And so she has to have that connection with you. It's how God wired women in general. She might say, well, you know, you used to make me feel special, and you complimented me and said nice things about me, and I'm just fat now. And here's where you say, well, wait a second. No, I still compliment you. No, none of that. You're not defending yourself. You're listening. And then what you're doing is tapping in to where that area is that's triggering her to go, not going to do it, right? And say, you know what? I can understand why you feel like you don't look that great because you say that you've gained a few pounds. But let me tell you something. I think you're beautiful. And I just haven't done a good job telling you. Oh, you're just saying that because you want sex. No, honey, I'm saying that because I mean that. I really do. And I'm sorry that I haven't been that good. I mean, I get in a rut and I get mundane and it is what it is. You're coming with an attitude of authenticity. You're coming with an attitude that has unconditional love. You're caring for her in this way because you've asked her how she felt, what made her decide to date you, to be with you, to marry you, what she saw in you. You've now put her into control, and she loves that. She loves that. Converse with her. So, you know you need to encourage her and compliment her if she comes to you with that, or similar. She may say this, we used to cuddle all the time, and now we don't. We don't even hold hands. We don't even hang out and hold hands. Like, we don't do anything. Well, then that doesn't mean that she, is ready for a sexcapade here. What she's saying is that she needs that physical touch and caring for her in that physical way. Let me give you an example, because this was the first time that this happened when I was married. And if you want to know that story and you're just now joining me, jump back in at the beginning and you can listen to the first part of this. But for me, I'm a physically touch kind of person, and how people love in one of 4 different ways. Let me just start here. People love in one of 4 different ways. We love in all of these ways, but we have a primary love language. And if you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages, there describes what those love languages are. I will put a link here. Joining me recorded, it's right now. And you can go over to Amazon, take a look at it. You can go to the bookstore, you can go to the library, get the book and read it, gentlemen, because what it will tell you, and ladies too, it's an amazing book if you haven't read it yet. But gentlemen, read that book with this mindset of what we're talking about tonight, that your wife is turned off sexually, she's not attracted to you, and what is that? It might be because you're not feeding into the emotional component of her love language. Those love languages are physical touch, quality time, encouraging words of affirmation, doing acts of service for her. That's that whole safe security, providing, doing things around the house kind of thing. That's acts of service, doing things for her. And the fifth one is giving gifts. And that one is a little bit more difficult for women to verbalize. But if you're finding that it's not hitting it on something else because she doesn't want to feel like you need to buy something for her or whatever. But I'll tell you, if you want to test drive it, what's her favorite candy bar? Bring it home. What is something that she really likes to have? Doesn't need to cost a lot of money, but just do that. So take a look at it. Good night, Rick. Great to see you. I know it does, and I know you have an early work day. So thank you so much for joining in when you did. So anyway, with all of this said, these 5 love languages, your wife is firing on one primary. Of course, there are the secondary ones, but find out what those are. And you can read the 5 love languages. You can get it on Audible if you want. But read it and understand it, because it'll help you to understand your wife better and what her love language is. And it will help you to understand yours as well, especially if you don't feel like your needs are being met in the relationship either, and you can verbalize what those are. For me, my love language is physical touch. And this season of not having sex with my husband went on for, 3 or 4 months. Hi, Deshaun. Great to see you tonight. Glad you're in the house, sir. And I don't know why. I just didn't want to have sex with him. And that's when I told you a few minutes ago, he said to me, Patty, if I'm not going to get it from you, where am I going to get it? And so in thinking about that, I was like, I don't know, like, what's wrong with me? Like, is this hormonal or what? Because he didn't really do anything. I was just disconnected and I didn't know why. But he kept pressing me. And not in a way that was forceful, but in a way that was understanding. And it was, or not understanding, but wanting to understand. And so finally, I remember being in the kitchen with him, and he said, what's going on with you? What's going on with us? Because we're not sexually active like we used to be, and we need to get this figured out. And I said, in just utter disgust, I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened. And he said, what is it? Talk to me. Talk to me. And I said, I'm just disconnecting. I don't know. I'm just disconnecting. And he said, I want to understand. And I said, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm just standing there looking at him. I'm getting angry. He's frustrated, but trying to hang in there. And finally he said, come here. And when he did, something just broke in me in the moment. And I went to him and he embraced me. And it wasn't just a hug. It was a hug and he held me. And I just broke down crying. And I said, I need more of this. I wasn't able to verbalize it. I wasn't able to articulate what was going on because, quite frankly, I didn't know. I just know it wasn't working. And so I said, we need more of this. I said, no. I said, I need more of this. He said, well, let's just continue to do this. And so we did. And finally, he's leaning up against the counter, and I'm sure I'm sobbing and all of this emotion, right? And we don't have a place to sit. Let me tell you why. This is important, folks. Listen to what I'm telling you. I live in a vat. I live in a place of vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. Because if it's happened to me, you've experienced it in some way, shape, or form. And I hope that what I've gone through will help you so that you don't have to go through it. So he said, let's go sit down. We turn around into our living room. Guess what we had done 3.5 months before? We got rid of our living room furniture and we bought all new living room furniture. And we decided that we were buying all leather recliners, Adirondack style, so that when everybody came over, they thought they were the king of the house because everybody had a recliner. We had 8 of them in our living room. They were beautiful, they were amazing, and let me tell you, they were comfy. But in getting rid of the couches and the love seats, there was no cuddle time. There was no, he's watching TV and I'm reading a book, laying up against him kind of thing. And so that disconnect, just because of the furniture, affected our sex life. Can you imagine? It was something that simple. We didn't get it, but in that moment of us communicating and talking, we worked it out. Now, how did we resolve this issue? Because let me tell you, we spent a good bit of money on those chairs. But in another room, we had a very nice love seat. It was wonderful. I loved it. And we also added a television to the bedroom so that we could lay down, he could watch TV, and I could just cuddle. And it was good. And our sex life returned almost immediately. But the point of this is, gentlemen, you've got to communicate with your wife and find out the why. And I just gave you how to do that. Just ask the open-ended question. Allow her to think back to the time when she was connected with you and find out what it was that was going on then that's not going on now. Get this book, The 5 Love Languages I just talked to you about, so that you can read through that and everything else. Because I'm going to tell you what, it comes down to how she feels. It comes down to how she feels. It's not about how big your penis is. It's about how big the smile is on her face when she's sitting next to you. And if she's happy, you're happy. Happy wife, happy life, right? I want to take you to Genesis. It's chapter 2, verse 15, and it says this. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to care for it. God gave him that land to cultivate. Your wife is a garden. If you don't do anything with it, weeds will come up. If you continue to cultivate her in a way that's loving and kind and feeds into her emotional love language component of her being, it will blossom and you'll get so much fruit out of it you won't know what to do. Trust me. I talked to you about some ways that you can approach your wife and also how you can cultivate that sexual attraction, her sexual attraction towards you. And I told you could do that by communicating with her. In conjunction with that, another thing that you can do is fix the problems. For the most part, husbands, you're great fixers. You do a great job of it. We have a problem and you just know the answer for it right then and there. Or if you're handy, you just get it fixed and get it done. One of the things that can fester is when you don't follow through with fixing it. Whether it's a problem in the house, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. If things aren't right, she's not right. And so what is it? My former spouse, a contractor, bricklayer, custom built our home. It was amazingly beautiful. Every brick detail that you can imagine. It was just amazing. Except for the mailbox. Hello. Why do we still have a mailbox on a plastic pole in this big, beautiful house, and we got a plastic and a cheap mailbox? I was on Pinterest for a couple of months. I found exactly what I wanted. I printed it out. I gave it to him, and I said, I want this. And he goes, oh, that's easy. Well, then why 4 months later do I not have a friggin' mailbox? This was the second time in our marriage where the sex dried up. Ladies, do not use it as a form of manipulation. Please don't. It's not what we've been called to use it for. Here's what I said to him once I realized why I was angry at him, because it dawned on me, what is going on? I'm angry with him all the time. It's because every time I rolled up, the aesthetics of that house was so beautiful, and I saw that cheap mailbox that I know he was able to do in an afternoon, but he can't get around to it. You know why? Because he's doing other things for everybody else, and he isn't doing that. So I sat down with him and I said, listen, I've been very patient. 4 months patient. I would like for you, please, whatever you're doing this weekend, I would love to have hot, passionate sex with you on Saturday night after you get the mailbox done. And he said, it'll be done Friday. And it was. Build the sexual tension there as well. Women, build it. Let them know, hey, this is what's going on with me. This is the angst that I have. But let me tell you what, if you would do that for me, I got a babysitter. Let's go for it. They're going to Grandma's tonight. I'm going to cook a nice little dinner, right? You can get a cheap teddy at Walmart, girlfriend. Move on. Quit worrying about your cellulite. Get out of yourself. Your man isn't looking at that. Move on. Don't let your insecurities get in the way of your sex life. Wives, get over yourself. Men, fix the problems in the home. You've been called to do that. Take care of the garden. Gentlemen, you now have a wife. You have conquered the kingdom. Don't you love that? You now, Mr. King, have a queen. Isn't that amazing? Let me tell you something. Now that you've conquered that, you're on conquering other things. You're on conquering other things. You're conquering your career. You're conquering your hobbies. You're conquering your kids. Maybe you're coaching and things like that. And you're so invested in that. You are conquering other kingdoms. And guess what's happening? The queen doesn't feel like a queen anymore. Because the queen of the kingdom has now become a maid in the house. And she doesn't feel good. She doesn't feel valued. She doesn't feel respected. So what are you doing to maintain the territory that God's given you in the space that God's provided you? I want to give you this scripture verse. This comes from Ephesians 5:21. Hi, Hossein. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Ephesians 5. There are two verses here that I want to point out, but I'm going to give you a little context around it. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ is what God calls us to do. Submit. That is for both of us, husbands and wives, that we submit to one another. Wives, submit to your husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Christ died for the church. What sacrifices are you making for your wife? She's submitting to you. You're sacrificing for her. Now, as the church submits to Christ, as the wife submits to the husband, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. Where are you, husbands? Are you in the word? Are you connected with God? Are you praying? Are you cultivating godly relationships in your life? This says that for the husband is the head of the wife. And we often hear that the husband is head of household. Well, if that makes you the head, then what does that make me? The tail as the wife? I don't want to get too hung up on that. I'm not coming from a feminist perspective ever, because I don't subscribe to that. However, I want to give you this. Husbands, when you have Christ as the cornerstone, you're not the head, you're the foundation. You are the foundation. The foundation. And everything else is built on that. So what is your foundation as the cornerstone? Jesus Christ. He's the cornerstone. You're the foundation, and your household is built on that. Is it built on the shifting sand, or is it built on firm soil? With Jesus being the cornerstone. Because then the wife can be one of the pillars, right? To support everything else that's happening in the household. Gentlemen, you are the foundation. I think it's easy to give up in your marriage when you are not having healthy sex in your marital life. It's easy to give up. But let me tell you something. you are either going to suffer in silence, or you're going to research the issue with your wife and find out what's going on. And it's much easier to find out what's going on and fix it and move on than it is to cut sling load because you're not getting sex. Because then what happens is you turn to alcohol, you turn to drugs, you turn to food, you turn to other women. And let me tell you, addiction and adultery don't do anything for a marriage. It doesn't solve anything. It only complicates. And that those diversions lead to division in your marriage further than where they are now. I told you, you want to heat your woman up and bring her on down to Miami, and she's sitting up in Anchorage, Alaska, you're going to have to talk to her, communicate with her, take her back to the time when everything was good and what she loved about you, what caused her to make the decision to marry you. Come at it with a healthy, loving, unconditional, open-minded heart to receive what she has to say and make those adjustments based on her primary love language. We talked about that. And then don't give up. If this is now going to require some counseling because you guys can't talk it out, then get into counseling. If it's not, maybe it needs to go a step further and maybe you need to get into a sex therapist, but start with some good, solid counseling. And then talk it out together. If you can't, seek the wise counsel for it. If you can't get a counselor, a sex therapist, this verse comes from Proverbs. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. If you're not married and you're out there looking, let me encourage you in this. Gentlemen, it says, he who finds. You are seeking her. She's not hidden from you. She's hidden for you. So seek her out. Find her. And when you do, and everything's lining up, the cornerstone, your relationship with Christ, her relationship with Christ, your relationship with one another, and all of those things coming together. I always say, look at it when you're dating, heart, soul, mind, and strength. Look at the emotional component first. They're listed in this order for a reason. Look at are you connecting emotionally? Are you connecting spiritually? Are you connecting intellectually? And are you connecting now physically? We've got physical is the last. We ain't worried about it. We're dating. We've got all of these other things to sort out. So a lot of times we just hop in the sack after the first or second date because we think, hey, this is going to be great. And that's not God's design for sex or for marriage. Because those were designed together for each other. Ladies, if you are withholding sex from your men, you need to find out why. And then you need to have a conversation with him. Explain to him how you're feeling and that you want him to understand it's not that you are doing this as a punishment. Don't go against the Lord. I just gave you the scripture. But that you're trying to understand because you want to be able to emotionally connect with him so that he can physically connect with you. I hope that you enjoyed this wonderful time that I've had with you on a topic that you all have given me to speak on for tonight. And if you have a topic, question, suggestion, comment, or if you're having problems in your marriage and you need prayer, we have a full prayer team here. I join in with them and we pray for all of the prayer requests that come through. I have a tech team that kind of helps keep me organized because I do work full time, and the tech team takes those questions out. I answer every message in the inbox. Some days are I'm a couple days behind in getting to. I'm today caught up, so send me a message over there. I always love to connect with you. Kevin, it's wonderful to see you tonight. I'm glad that you're in the house. Love God, love others, and love yourself. Good night.